Rob Ritchie, President and CEO of FairVote. I'm going to have Kevin explain why the Election Reformers Network has joined with us in this. And they are a terrific new player in the election reform world. And Kevin has a really fascinating personal history and a great group for you all to learn more about. Kevin.
Terrific. Thank you, Rob, for that introduction. Hi, everyone. Thank you for giving us some of your time this afternoon. It's going to be interesting to hear what you all think, what people have to say, share some good ideas. One thing that's been really fun has been getting to know Rob a little bit and the organization that you run so well. And so it's a great honor to co-host this event with you. One of the things that we did, one of the first things that my organization did when we got started was to go to Rob for advice. And he was nice to say that was a nice kind of closing of the circle, completing the loop in a way, because when Rob started back in 1992, one of his first conversations was with Larry Garber, who at the time was the election specialist at National Democratic Institute. He was going to be here, but maybe he's still coming in. But he's on my board and is part of our organization. So it was nice to close that loop then. And I think we talked with you and Cynthia at that point, if I remember, as we got started. The organization I run, Election Reformers Network, was founded by people like Larry, who played key roles in structural changes that ended communist dictatorship in Central and Eastern Europe and ended apartheid in South Africa. We did this work with organizations like the National Democratic Institute, I was just mentioning, International Republican Institute, International Foundation for Electoral Systems, Carter Center, as we helped lead the U.S. contribution to the greatest expansion of democracy in history. Beginning in 2016, a group of us came together, people acting in their individual capacities, but drawing on that shared background to help advance the changes needed here. The work overseas was never really about replicating American institutions. There would have been no takers if we had been out promoting a system where the head of state is elected kind of by an electoral college. There would have been no takers if we had been out promoting a system where election administrators are senior members of competing political parties and are sometimes candidates in the elections that they supervise. And there would also have been no takers, or very few takers, for what brings us here today, which is first past the post in single-member districts. Over the 50 years of really enormous expansion of democracy around the globe, scores of countries have had that constitutional moment, the opportunity to move beyond an authoritarian past and the opportunity to create new election systems, new constitutional arrangements. Virtually none has selected the system we use of first past the post in single-member districts. These countries all had in common that they had to design a system that would manage conflict arising from deep divisions in their societies. Divisions like those between the elites who had benefited from communism and the majority that hadn't. Divisions between multiple ethnic groups in post-colonial countries. Divisions between the whites who had always ruled South Africa and the blacks who were demanding their turn. Writers of new constitutions and designers of new election systems all realized that first past the post and single-member districts is very poorly designed to manage such divisions and such conflicts. And indeed, it is very poorly designed to manage our conflicts and our divisions. We owe a lot of gratitude to scholars like Lee Drutman, who have helped us to see that the polarization that we're experiencing now is not the result of a change in our technology or a change in our culture. The doom loop, in a sense, is inherent in the system we use and was only mitigated in prior generations through sort of historical anomalies. Another way of saying the same thing is to point out that our problems have a lot more to do with bad rules than bad guys. One of our challenges as a movement is that it's a lot easier to mobilize people and mobilize money by talking about bad guys, but it's very difficult for a bad guy-oriented movement to forge the consensus that we need to fix bad rules. We're here to talk about the most important fix to our bad rules that has yet been introduced, the Fair Representation Act, the one reform to save America, in the words of David Brooks. We have a terrific group of speakers to discuss its many important attributes. I will just make one observation before I hand off the microphone, and that is to say that we have come to define ourselves on the basis of those maps that have huge splotches of red and blue. The Fair Representation Act exposes those big blocks of red and blue for what they really are, rounding errors, and enables us to reveal the true, complex, beautiful American patchwork quilt that's always hidden beneath. Thank you.